Welcome to the program, Stu. How are you?
Welcome back, Glenn.
Thank you.
Back from D.C.
Interesting week.
I bet it was.
Interesting week.
Yeah.
Learned an awful lot. I've got to go up there at least every quarter. There is so much going on. It is moving so fast, and you get a completely different perspective when you're actually there talking to the people that are moving the pieces. And I had a lot of conversations that I can't divulge on the air. I can't say. Unfortunately, I was with the president yesterday, and it was absolutely incredible. And the thing I was most excited to share was his heart. It was amazing. Did the interview, went into the Oval Office, and he left me alone with my wife in the Oval Office for like 5 minutes. Now, he was lucky I didn't go through the drawers. I look at the side, where's that little hidden puzzle piece that I saw in National Art? I mean, he left us alone for 5 minutes. Nobody's left alone in the Oval for 5 minutes. And he walks in 5 minutes later, and Tanya was so uncomfortable. She's like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to, what do I do? And I'm like, they said, make yourself comfortable. So have a seat wherever you want. Probably not behind the desk, but have a seat. And so we just go around, and I was alone with the Declaration of Independence. I mean, it was incredible in the Oval Office. And he walks in, and he said,
Any part of you think, maybe I just kind of put this, fold it up, put it in my pocket, maybe nobody notices? None of that?
No.
None of that? Yeah, darn it.
But this is the second time I've been in the Oval Office. The first time you're a little overwhelmed. The first time you're just like, because it's a magical place. It really is a magical place. And so he said, he walks in, he's like, nobody said that. And I said, I'm well aware of that.
He said, nobody what?
Nobody sits in here without the president or without, somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
And
I gotta imagine that's really rare.
I said, I'm aware of that. And he said, but I knew you'd want to look at everything. So I thought you'd be more comfortable if you were here by yourself. And I'm like, oh, it was fantastic. So we sit down, we talk, we go do the interview. And while we were talking in the Oval, we were conversing about a few things, and he said, and Abraham Lincoln came up. We were talking about, he is well-versed on the presidents. He is becoming a historian. He really is. He's really done his homework. And he said, you a fan of Abraham Lincoln? And I said, yeah. And he said, ever been to the Lincoln bedroom? And I said, no. Want to go? And I'm like, wait, of course I do. Yes. Let's do this interview. So we do the interview, and I'm told he only has 40 minutes. Now, we've just eaten 10. And so we do the interview, and his aides are cutting us off. And I'm like, I got at least 10 more minutes of questions. And so we're getting cut off. And as we stop, his aide says, sir, the National Security Council is waiting for you. And he says, right. I'm going to take them to the Lincoln bedroom first. And they're like, the Security Council is meeting right now. They're waiting for you. And he said, let him wait. I'm going to take him up to So he takes us the longest way possible. He takes us through the entire White House, room by room, shows us all of the meanings behind things, all of the amazing things that, like, nobody knows about the White House. Takes us to the basement, which is not really the basement. It's the actual first floor where all of the guests come in and they come up the grand staircase and everything else. But it's the basement. And he's walking through and he's showing me a troll. First of all, he goes, I got to show you these paintings. I just see this painting of Laura Bush and Hillary Clinton up on the wall. He said, I walk by him every day. And I'm like, it's just not right. And he said, and then I got this painting of me. And it's, me, the flag face, looking really kind of tough. And he said, I thought I'd put it between the two. And it had just gone viral. Okay. He had just released a picture of it. It had just gone viral. It was a troll. The guy is just trolling. And he's like, yeah, don't you love it? I just think this works. This trio really works. And I said, can I get a snap of that with you? So we take this picture, the two of us. on the ground floor of the White House with this. This is the tour goes by this every day. Okay. And all of a sudden this thing goes viral and the memes start to be made. But JD Vance, in the pictures, people just started changing all the pictures behind us. So this is a meme before, going off, before we finish. And then he takes us upstairs, takes us through all these things, and the aides keep gathering. There's like 20 of them now following us. And I keep hearing, "Sir, the National Security Council is waiting." He's like, I know. And so we get up to the executive residence. And the reason why he had to do this tour is because you're not allowed in the residence and you're not allowed into the Lincoln bedroom without the President of the United States. It's the only one that can do it. You can't, Melania couldn't come down and do the tour. It has to be the president. And so he's like, I'm sorry. He's telling them, I'm sorry, but, rules are rules. And so he takes us up into the Lincoln bedroom. It was the most incredible thing it's a time capsule. It's really his bed, which is about 6 inches longer than like the big king size bed. It might have been longer than a California queen. It was very narrow. It was like, obviously, he's not like Hugh Hefner. It's just a very narrow bed, but very, very long. The mirror on one end was extended to, for somebody who's like, 6'9", I think. Barron could use that mirror. And then on the other side of the room is a writing desk. And it on this one table were all these things about his son, Lincoln's son, who had died. And this really eerie picture of Lincoln, this painting. And the president said that was his favorite painting of himself. And it was spooky almost. And I couldn't take a picture. You're not allowed to take any photos in the Lincoln bedroom. And I was so bummed because I couldn't wait to show them to you. But there's a writing desk, and on it is the Gettysburg Address, one of 4 of the Gettysburg Addresses, because Lincoln was at the Gettysburg and said, "Mr. President, that was a great speech. Do you have a copy of it?" And he said, "Sure." And he hands him the speech. And he says, "Here, take it." There's a New York reporter, takes it, types it up, and then throws it away. So during the war, Lincoln writes 4 copies of the Gettysburg Address. In the 4 copies, only 2 of them say, "This nation under God." 2 of them don't say that, and we don't know why. But the one there says, "This nation under God." So it's just almost like a spiritual thing. We come down and we're ending the tour, and I said, "I have to ask you." I said, "I know you're Donald J. Trump, but now what do you think I'm going to ask?" Because he cuts me off there and starts to answer. And I was amazed that he knew what I was even going to ask. "What do you think I'm asking?" "I know you're Donald J. Trump, but."
It could be anything, obviously.
He said, "Every day." And that's the right answer, but I still didn't know if he knew what I was talking about. And I said, "Every day?" And he said, "Every day, Glenn. I wake up every day and I say to myself, I can't believe I'm in this house." He's still humble about it. He still, he respects that place. A lot of well, he didn't tell me this, so I didn't think I signed anything about that. No, he didn't tell me this. So the word is that Hillary stole a lot of the glass doorknobs at the White House. Okay, that's the word. Don't know if it's true, but stole a lot of them. He came in and he redid all of the doorknobs, and they are beautiful. This guy has put serious money into the White House, and he's never going to get any credit. And the rumor was on those doorknobs that they were going to take them out. I don't know if they did on Biden, but they don't want any of the Trump stuff in there, and took out the doorknobs. But he's poured a ton of money upgrading that house, and he'll never get credit for it, but he deserves it. All right, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we talked about on the important stuff here in just a second. First, let me tell you about real estate agents I trust. Buying or selling a home might look simple on paper, but you're walking into a minefield of negotiations, inspections, financing, timing, paperwork, stacks seemingly miles high. And you don't get a do-over on this. Not on your home, not on your future. So who do you want on your team? A weekend warrior real estate agent, or somebody, who took an online course last summer? Or do you want somebody who really knows the market, knows the best practices, is battle-tested, has a network of battle-tested, vetted, full-time professionals in their Rolodex that can help you with anything that you need? Well, that's who we can connect you with at realestateagentsitrust.com. You need somebody who can walk you through multiple offers without losing your mind. Someone who knows which contract language protects you. You need somebody who's been there in the trenches but still loves helping families to get to safe ground. When it comes to buying or selling a home, this is not just a transaction, it's mission critical, and the people who earn your trust are the people who get that. So go to realestateagentsitrust.com. That's realestateagentsitrust.com. Go there now, realestateagentsitrust.com. 10-second station ID.
So you were able to go through all of this and look at all these incredible documents. I mean, this is kind of like your fantasy league life, right? Like,
oh my gosh!
Every document you could ever want, every piece of history you could ever want to look at.
Oh my gosh!
You would spend no time actually being president if you were president.
No, I wouldn't. I don't know when this guy has time. I really don't. They told me some of the Secret Service guys said he's here, middle of the night working on stuff. He's, he'll do full day and then he's there, like, who's up at this hour? It's him.
Interesting because that's not the way the media presents him, right? They say, oh, he's just watching TV. He's watching Fox News all day.
There's no way. This guy has learned so much. There's no way I had a conversation about history with him 5-6 years ago like I did yesterday.
Interesting. So you notice a difference.
Oh, huge. His learning curve is straight up. Absolutely straight up. Straight up. And in the interview, there's nothing. I mean, I could have said things. Remember the nuclear triad question that he was hit with, where he didn't really know what the nuclear. There is not a question I can ask him where he doesn't know the answer. Literally. I mean, everything I ask him off air or on air, he's there. He knows it. If it's happening in the world, he knows it. I don't know how he keeps up like this.
It is I mean, his energy level is impressive. There's no doubt about that. Especially, I mean, I don't know. The bar was set pretty low the last 4 years. But that's been one of the things that I don't think there's ever been really much a disagreement on. Like the fact that, I mean, we did, years ago, we went around with candidates around Iowa, for example, just in campaigning. And it was like, oh gosh, by the end of the weekend, I just wanted to sleep for a week because it was just so much running around doing. I mean, can't even imagine what it's like to be president of the United States. He's always got that energy.
He's always energized. I mean, and I saw him. I mean, when I got onto the plane last night, because I know he went from my interview directly to the National Security Council, and then by the time I'm sitting at the airport, there's a video of him meeting with the people that were in the lobby waiting for him, all of these veterans, and he's doing stuff with veterans on TV. I mean, the guy is just boom, 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 boom. Remember Joe Biden was like, he'll have some pudding.
Yeah.
And
a pudding and a lid.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. This guy is going nonstop.
Obviously, we're just kind of setting up the main course here, which is your interview with him that airs on Blaze TV tonight.
Yeah.
It was last night. I watched it on Blaze TV last night. It airs on YouTube tonight. Is that there? I'm getting the order wrong.
Yep.
But, you guys went into
everything,
every topic. Any questions he didn't, you didn't think he wanted to go to or wasn't comfortable with? Was there anything he was off limits? Anything like that?
No. He was joking with me. As he was going across the hallway, he said after the interview, he said, "Now try to be kind to me." Well, if you don't, I'll just say he's over. He's worthless. So do whatever you want. But no, there was nothing. In fact, we didn't, we wouldn't, and we didn't give him any indication other than it was, about the 100 days and everything that has gone on in the last 100 days and are coming. And so that's pretty broad. He said a few things, and I'm going to give you, one of them here. We were talking about the tariffs, and I said, how do you negotiate when you have a group of elites like the WEF, when you have China who's against you, and the World Trade or the World Economic Forum, all the elites in England that are they're fine with a Great Reset. How do you negotiate with people who don't mind blowing the whole thing up? Listen to this.
I don't have to negotiate. I'm talking to people out of respect, but I don't have to. So we're this giant store that people want to come in and buy from. We're the United States. We have the richest consumer, et cetera, right? But we're not going to be that way for long if we don't do something. But we're this giant store, and they all want to come in and they want to take our product. But to take our product, they're going to have to pay. And we'll either make a deal with them or we'll just set a price, because some countries are worse than others. Some countries have ripped us off really badly, and some countries have just ripped us off a little bit. But almost all of them have ripped us off because we've had really poor leadership. And what's going to happen is we're going to negotiate we are negotiating. We're negotiating with 70 different countries. We're negotiating. We're showing great respect. But in the end, we may make deals, but either that or I just set a price. I said, here's what you're going to pay for the privilege of servicing the United States of America. And they have an option. They can maybe talk to me a little bit, or they can not shop. They don't have to shop at this big store, or they can shop.
Right.
But in any event, they're going to have to pay. Look, we owe $36 trillion for a reason. The reason is the trade, and also the endless wars, the stupid wars that we fought. We go into the Middle East, we blow it up, we leave, we don't get anything. And you're a big fan of exactly what I'm saying. Meaning, let's not do this stupid stuff.
Doesn't work.
It's stupid. Endless wars that they don't even want us. We got into wars they didn't even want us. So all of that stuff. When I left 4 years ago, we had no wars. We had no Israel and Hamas. And by the way, it would have never happened because Iran was broke. They were broke. I had sanctions that were so strong on Iran. They were totally broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah. We didn't have Russia, Ukraine. That would have never happened, by the way. We didn't have the Afghanistan embarrassment, one of the great embarrassments in the history of our country. We didn't have any inflation.
I know.
Don't forget, I charged China hundreds of billions worth of tariffs. They talk about inflation. We had no inflation because that doesn't cause inflation. Stupidity causes inflation. High energy caused inflation. When they took over my energy, we were making it like nobody's ever seen. And then the prices doubled. By the way, because of that, Putin went in. If they kept, you see what's going on with energy now, it's going down.
Yeah.
It makes it much harder for Putin to prosecute the war.
It was fascinating. We talked about a few things. Judicial insurrection was one of them. Another pretty strong response on that one as well. We'll continue in just a second.
This is Glenn Beck.
So imagine if your dog could, leave you a Yelp review about his dinner. Dry, crumbly kibble. Notes of cardboard. Strong finish of sadness. If your dog could type, he might have a few things to say about what you're feeding him. Luckily, he can't type, but he can show you what he thinks when you add rough greens on top of whatever it is you put in his bowl. Rough greens is not a dog food. It's what you add to the food. It's a nutritional boost packed with vitamins, probiotics, minerals, omega oils, all the stuff your dog has been secretly wishing for while pretending to be excited about kibble or not. I've heard countless stories from people who say their older dogs started acting like puppies again. That is a great, great effect of rough greens. And who knows, even if dogs do learn to type, You know, Rough Greens might just get its first five-star review. You know, get a Jumpstart trial bag. Maybe your dog will learn to type. I don't guarantee. I haven't seen it ever. Roughgreens.com. Roughgreens.com. Use the promo code Beck. That's RUFFgreens.com. Promo code Beck. You don't have to change your dog's food to improve your dog's health. Just add a scoop of Rough Greens. Roughgreens.com. Promo code Beck.
You can get the full interview with Glenn Beck and Donald Trump on blazetv.com/Glenn. The promo code is Glenn. You'll save $20 off your subscription to Blaze TV.
So, you know, I was trying to in this interview, and I hope this interview was helpful. I'd love to hear from you if you watched the interview, 888-727-BECK, because I'd love your feedback on it. You know, when you're in an interview and you're trying to navigate your way through it with the President of the United States, it's a little dicey because he goes wherever he wants to go. And you're trying to control the interview to make it all lay out in a logical way. And he's going, and I'm shuffling. I've probably had 50 questions for him. I'm shuffling the cards, trying to find, okay, how can I connect the next question so it leads me where I want to go? And so you're playing this hijack of the conversation both ways, you know? And so you don't know. And I really didn't have any idea when I finished what I had even asked him. Somebody asked me, did you push him against the wall on things? And I said, I don't even know. I hope I did, but I don't even know. So I'd like to hear your comments on the interview, what you thought of it, and honest reviews. You can call in at 888-727-BECK. I talked to him about the GOP, and he was nicer on the GOP than I thought he would be.
Much nicer, actually. Yeah. Very complimentary. Seemed to just basically say, you're jumping the gun, Glenn.
Yeah, he did. And so I pushed him on it a couple of times and, said, my audience really cares about two things, Doge, the three things, Doge, the people go to jail that need to be prosecuted, and the other one is, the Congress and the economy. And tariffs. And you can't do all of it without Congress. And he was shocking twice. I came back at that. Will you push Congress? And both times he was like, you gotta love the big beautiful bill. They're gonna pass it. I just love them.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think he leaned on the pragmatic realities of what the Congress is, which is a Congress with a very small majority. Mm-hmm. He mentioned, it was 7 seats in the House and 3 seats in the Senate. And he said that, but he thought it was going to be enough. He seemed to think that we needed, one of the things we talked about, this is going back at the beginning of his administration, was he kept picking House members to serve in his government.
Yes.
And that shrunk the majorities temporarily. So he seemed to be saying, look, we needed to get that straightened out first, win those special elections, yes. And then now we're in a position where we can get the big, beautiful bill done. And he seemed to be incredibly optimistic about the bill. I will say that was an interesting part of that interview because he was much more optimistic than I feel like I am right now.
So he either knows something that we don't know, or he is negotiating with them and playing nice until
they go the wrong direction.
They go the right direction, and if they don't go the right direction this time, I think he will change. But I'm not sure. He was shockingly in their corner for this.
He said they were doing a great job.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of complaints from the conservative,
from me, too.
From you. Yeah, you fit it hard.
Yeah, and I was. I think I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think I was pretty clear on, they got to do their job. And I said, and what does all of this mean if they don't codify? You got to get them to codify all this stuff. And he said, Glenn, we get the big, beautiful bill. Then we're going right to codification. He's like, we're going to codify everything we just did in executive order. That would be great.
And I think there's a tendency sometimes of Trump defenders when, he wants something, it doesn't get done, or we all want something to get done, to not necessarily put blame on Trump, to put blame on Congress. He was very clear that didn't need to happen. They're doing a good job. They're going to get this across the finish line, which is pretty. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right word. Trusting, yeah, but I mean optimistic. It was good to hear that's what he sees. I mean, he's talking to these people. He knows where this thing stands right now. Now, he's in the middle of a public interview. You don't know. He could be positioning it, as you mentioned. It could be part of the negotiation, but that's kind of him saying, "We've got this under control. Don't worry about it." And he said, all the stuff's going to be in this bill. The big, beautiful bill has been sort of this generic term that he's used to kind of give us an idea. He
said a couple of times.
Yeah.
Everything's in that bill.
Everything's
in that bill.
He said tax cuts, regulation cuts.
Right.
And I don't know. Maybe he's thinking about putting the tariffs in that bill. And that's an interesting part of it, because that would also help the scoring of the bill. If you put the tariffs in the bill, it's going to show revenue coming in from those tariffs, and then that would help him put other things like tax cuts in the bill that are larger, for example. There's a lot of strategy and weirdness here, because you have to get a reduction in the deficit and the debt to be able to pass it through the reconciliation process. So there's a lot of stuff. I mean, it is a very complicated process. But I think usually you'd go through a situation like this and say, if you have majorities as small as the Republicans have, you can't do this type of bill. It's too difficult.
Yeah.
He's saying it's not. And look, I think there's reason to believe he's going to be able to get people lined up behind this thing. He's been very good at that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, and I hope he is.
You seem
right.
less convinced than he was.
No, I have faith that he knows something that I don't know.
Yeah.
I just hope I hope it's not misplaced trust, because I don't trust any of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I trust some of them as individuals, but as a collective, they're absolutely worthless. Just worthless. I also talked to him about the judges and how the judges are holding everything back. And I used a term that Mike Lee has used, judicial insurrection, and talked to him about, Andrew Jackson. He's a fan of Andrew Jackson. And Andrew Jackson, he went to court with the federal judges, not the Supreme Court, the federal judges. And he said, well, they've got their opinion, I have mine. The good thing about judges is they don't have an enforcement arm. So let them enforce it. And he just went on. And constitutional, he just kept going. So I asked him about that. Listen to what Donald Trump said.
Well, I hope we don't have that problem. And I hope we don't have to get into it. But I will say we have millions of people in this country right now that are criminals. And you see how fast we're getting them out. And we're going to get them out even faster. But when you have to get out and do court cases for individual people, and you would have, in theory, millions of court cases, you know what that means. If you had one court case, it takes forever. Millions of court cases? They're really saying you're not allowed to do what I was elected to do. I was elected for a very big part of it was the border and getting people out, because I said, and the stats reveal it, when you look at Tren de Aragua, when you look at MS-13, when you look at these gangs and just really bad criminals coming in, we have many murderers, people that killed, 50% of which killed more than one person. They put them into our country through open borders. And now we have to go to court to get them out. I don't think the people of our country are going to stand for it.
Let me go to Andrea in Arizona, who's listening. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, how are you? I watched the interview. It was wonderful. And, I'm seeing a new Donald Trump. I know you mentioned this before. And he is so calm, so precise, so measured. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, is he like that only during the interviews, or is he like that before and after the interview?
What you saw, there was no difference in the Donald Trump that you saw in the interview than I saw giving me a tour of the White House yesterday. No difference. He is if anything, did I talk about the non-disclosure I had to sign?
You didn't talk about it on the air, no.
So if anything, he is more genuine and more heart-driven than what you see. He gave me a tour of the White House, and we went up to the executive residence. Nobody goes up to the executive residence. And I'm like, and we do the tour of the Lincoln bedroom, and then he takes us to places that you don't go to, and he was showing us stuff, and he was, at the end of this section, we come down the stairs from the executive residence, and on the table there at the bottom of the stairs were two pieces of paper, one for my wife and one for me, that we had to sign. And I said, what is this? And they said, the president doesn't want anything other than the Lincoln bedroom, any of your conversations shared. And I was like, I was devastated, because that was the thing I was most excited to share with the audience, because it shows who he is. It shows he's a remarkable man. And I sat there and I had to sign it. And I sat there and I just wanted to say, why? Why? This is the side of you that people should know about. And I can't say anything about it. So he leads by his heart much more than what you know. There's something that happened also that my wife caught that didn't happen up there, that I'm struggling with whether or not I should say anything. I want to call the White House and just say, because it was caught on film, and we caught it on a frame, and I think do they put you in Guantanamo if you talk about it? No, not that. I don't know about the other part, but he's better than he is. More calm and just more real. He is so strangely the guy who is gilding the White House Oval Office. He is gilding it, but he is so normal and so common. I don't know how he became this way. I really don't. He's the guy who's like, it's the greatest gold of all gold. Nobody said gold could be any more golden than this gold. And yet, he's just like you. He's like everything you would hope a really good man that you respected was actually like.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's pretty consistent even in the reporting from sources who don't like him. They say, behind the scenes, he is a very engaging, endearing guy.
Yeah, he is. He's the real deal. He's a real deal.
That's fascinating. Well, I mean, as we all know, and I think Sarah will back me up on this, at some point you're totally going to screw this up and say something about what you're not supposed to say. And
I said it in the meeting.
Yeah, it's 100%. I don't know how long it's going to take. Might take a month, might take a year.
I won't.
At some point you'll blurt something out.
I won't.
And we will alert the authorities and make sure that they know that you violated the agreement you signed.
If it was something bad, I would. I couldn't. If it was like the country is going to be, the nukes are going to fly, I'd be like, I got to tell you.
Don't put him on signal.
Right, don't put me on there.
Right, yeah. But you think you'll be able to hold, because at some point we'll obviously get this out of you.
No, I'm just disappointed. I'm just disappointed that I can't tell you, because I think you'd like it. I think you'd like it a lot. You'd like it a lot. He's a good man. All right, let me tell you about My Patriot Supply. Well, the world ended. Sky turned orange. Government vanished. Some guy named Bonesaw now roams, the roads with an army of fellow warlords in tactical vests. Nobody has any power. Yet you're fine. Why? Because, you got the Grid Doctor 3300 from My Patriot Supply before the world ended. Now, while the other survivors are burning old shoes for heat and arguing about who gets to eat the last can of Spam, you've got solar panel and you got solar power and you got food as well. You're charging your devices, boiling water, running a mini fridge stocked with Jell-O cups. Your house is the Ritz now in America. Wish I would have thought that far ahead and got one for my house. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go trade a flashlight for a new pair of socks. But see you at the next barbecue, gang. It's quiet, it's fume-free, safe to use indoors or out, and totally portable. In a world where the grid is becoming less reliable by the day, the Grid Doctor 3300 will give you peace of mind and practical use every day. Get yours now at MyPatriotSupply.com. That's MyPatriotSupply.com, America's trusted source for emergency preparedness. MyPatriotSupply.com.
The left's got a roadmap. straight off a cliff. Let's take the right trail. Glenn Beck returns shortly.
Do you ever scroll through your portfolio and wonder what these companies actually do beyond the ticker symbol? 75% of broad market money winds up backing corporate lobbying that most Americans would never co-sign on. Wall Street flaunts that in glossy brochures the media never bothers to read. But every investment dollar is a ballot, and because you vote with your dollars, this is a really important ballot. And when a downtown brokerage does all the choosing for you, that vote can land against faith and family and freedom, and the odds are you'll never even know about it. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. You want something that's consistent with your values. Constitution Wealth can help you with this. It starts with a free values audit, and you just hand over the statements. Most of us only pretend to understand. They trace every position from political spending to cultural campaigns and translate the fine print into plain talk. And then they can help build a portfolio that still drives the growth, but refuses to bankroll causes, that tear at liberty or biblical principles. No hidden vehicles, no surprise activism, just transparent, aligned investing so that you can rest even when the market is sleepless. If you want to, want your retirement to echo the things you teach your kids, go to constitutionwealth.com/blaze. Get a free consultation right now. Make your money speak the truth that you live. Take action now. Visit constitutionwealth.com/blaze. Get a free consultation today. constitutionwealth.com/blaze.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Let me go to Mike in Texas. Hello, Mike. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Your presentation last night was exactly what I expected. You had a deep seat, a split-fingered grip, and you let that bull ride.
Good.
But when you got to Bondi and Patel, he dodged that one, and you let him dodge it. And there may very well be reasons that you did. Running out of time is one of them, and
yes.
We just don't need to know right now is another.
So here's why may I explain why I didn't push back. And I pushed back after the interview in the hallway, and I got the same answer, and I knew I would get the same answer. So that's one reason why I didn't push back. The second is I had information from others who are near Cash and Bondi, who said pretty much the same thing the president did, except they added Congress is holding up the nominations of the others, it's the rhinos that were like, we gave him all of his people for his cabinet. You can wait until August to get the rest of them, and they're very frustrated. But what I was told by others around those two was that they are kind of surrounded right now and can't move. So when the president said, look, it's early, but I think they're doing a good job, I translated that into it's early, they don't have their people, hang tight. I could be wrong, but that's why I didn't push him on that. Because the other thing that goes back into, and I pushed him twice or three times on Congress, was Congress. And he kept having faith in Congress as well. And I thought that was a negotiating tool, so I couldn't make any real progress there because I think he was solidly in the place of Congress. So he could maybe talk them nicely into doing the things he needed them to do. But I think a hammer will come for Congress if they fail on this bill. Does that help you at all? I hope it does. We'll have more on this coming up, and you can watch it right now on Blaze TV, blazetv.com/Glenn. Don't miss the full interview. And there's a couple of outtakes or a couple of extras that we filmed that you get it if you're a Blaze TV subscriber. One is on Nikola Tesla, the president and I talking about Nikola Tesla, which is fascinating. And there was something, my private tour of the Roosevelt Room that I gave while we were waiting for the president.
This is Glenn Beck.